Nestled between the tall skyscrapers of the financial district on the island of Manhattan is a block of small buildings that seem a little out of place. The oldest one is on the corner of Pearl Street and Broad, and this building is the reason a little piece of old New York still exists. Now registered as a National Historic Landmark with the United States National Park Service, this building was originally built in 1719 as an elegant residence for the merchant Stephen Delancey and his family. In 1762, the home was purchased by a tavern keeper named Samuel Fraunces. He turned it into one of the most popular meeting spots of the day, originally calling it the Queen's Head Tavern, or the Sign of Queen Charlotte, in honor of the Queen of England. But why is it still here today? Well, a few historic events occurred here at Fraunces Tavern, but the most important one is when George Washington said farewell to the officers of the Continental Army right here in the tavern's long room in December of 1783. It was a truly heartfelt moment, and it's captured in the journal of one of the officers present that day, Captain Benjamin Talmadge. This moment was also important because of where it was taking place, not only at Fraunces Tavern, but in New York City, the city that had been under British control for 7 years since the beginning of the American Revolution. When peace was finally declared, New York City was the last place the British occupied in the colonies. So the day they left, on November 25th, 1783, was called Evacuation Day, and it was cause for a big celebration. Patriots lined the streets as George Washington triumphantly led the Continental Army through the city. A large dinner party was held at Fraunces Tavern that night, and fireworks lit up the sky. For many years after, Evacuation Day was a patriotic holiday in New York City. It was a little over a week later when George Washington decided to return to Fraunces Tavern to say farewell to his officers. Standing in this room today, you can only imagine how emotional it must have been for George Washington to say goodbye to the officers that he fought with and survived with during the war. Washington thanked the officers, saying, "With a heart full of love and gratitude, I now take leave of you. I most devoutly wish that your latter days may be as prosperous and happy as your former ones have been glorious and honorable." Benjamin Talmadge wrote in his diary, "Such a scene of sorrow and weeping I had never before witnessed, and fondly hope I may never be called to witness again." As the years passed, a lot was changed to the building of Fraunces Tavern, as it was used for different restaurants, hotels, and boarding houses. Still, throughout the 1800s and into the early 1900s, the memory of Washington's heartfelt farewell to his men was never forgotten. In 1904, the Sons of the Revolution in the state of New York purchased the tavern and hired preservation architect William Mercereau to restore the building to its colonial appearance. Fraunces Tavern Museum opened to the public in 1907. Today, the museum complex includes 4 19th century buildings in addition to the 18th century Fraunces Tavern building. For over 100 years, Fraunces Tavern Museum has served as an historic beacon in this ever-changing landscape of New York City. We hope to continue doing so for many years to come.